Hey guys, today I want to show you how I put these Gossamer Gear cork handles onto my Black Diamond Alpine carbon cork trekking pole handles. Okay, first thing we got to do is cut off the old handle. So I'm going to do the foam first and then the cork. This stuff peels away fairly easily, but does leave a bit of a residue on the backside that you're going to have to peel away later. Alright, so we get that off. Next we're going to do the cork. Alright, next thing we're going to do is drill out this rivet here. I'm going to cut it off above this. Now I'm going to cut off this top section here with my cut-off wheel on the Dremel. Now that we got the top cut off, I'm going to switch over from the cutting wheel on the Dremel to this little grinding wheel. I'm going to take off, there's a little sleeve here on the top of the pole, and we're going to remove that. I think it's got some sort of adhesive on, or it feels like it does, but yesterday when I did the other one and cut it off, once I cut all the way through this, the piece just kind of fell off, and instead of using the cutting wheel, if I used the cutting wheel, I'll probably cut into the pole itself too much. So if you just do this, you can kind of see how far you're going. You'll see. I'm going to finish taking off some of this cork. Alright, now we have all the cork off, we got the top section off, so we've got all the handle off. All we're left with is just this adhesive, and I'm going to put some lighter fluid on it, let it soak in a little bit, and we're going to try and remove this. just let this stuff soak in a minute, because you can try and work with it now, but really it just needs a little bit of time to do its job. So give it a couple of minutes, come back to it, and then I'm going to start working on it with my hands. All right, now we left this lighter fluid soak in a little bit, and I'm going to use this small little brush here and just sort of, start scraping it, try and loosen up the adhesive. Kind of clumps up in the brushes a little bit, so you got to clean it out every now and then. This is the part that kind of sucks, because I don't really know any good efficient way to do this. I'm just sort of working it off with my fingers, and it just kind of, rolls up into these little boogery looking adhesive chunks. So this part is a bit time consuming. Can't really use sandpaper with this either, because it just gums up the sandpaper as it kind of does with the brushes and stuff. So that's why, working at it with your fingers seems to be all right. All right, now I got most of the adhesive off here. So what I want to do is I'm going to run some sandpaper over this. So we're going to slide the handle, the new handle, over it, and we don't want it catching on any bumps or anything. I'm using 150 grit sandpaper. You might be able to start a little bit lower, work your way up. This seems to be all right for me. I didn't place a whole lot of emphasis on getting this super smooth. All right, now we got this handle smoothed out a little bit with that sandpaper, and what I want to do is just kind of smooth out where I made the cut with my Dremel. I used that cutoff wheel with the Dremel. On the other one I used a hacksaw and got a bit cleaner cut, but we're going to smooth this out a little bit. That way it doesn't rip up the handle when we install it. Doing all this cutting and sanding and stuff creates a lot of dust. That stuff gets in the pole, and when I put my last pole together yesterday, the other pole, there was a bunch of debris in there that I didn't realize, was in there, and it was kind of scratching up the inside of the pole, inside of this one, and then the outer part of the midsection that fits into here. So I'm going to go ahead and run some water through this and just kind of clean it out. So if you put your handle on first and realize you didn't clean it out, I didn't want to take that handle off because it was so much of a trouble getting it on. I took a piece of cloth here and I tied a piece of fishing line to it here, and you probably can't see it here in the video, but there we go, fishing line. Anyways, if the handle was on this end here, I inserted this, this cloth in here. You got the fishing line holding it in so you can pull it out later. And what you're going to do is just take another pole that's smaller. You can either use one of your other poles. I'm using a Gossamer Gear pole, but you can just use any other pole you have laying around that's smaller, and just push this in there. And it's going to come out the other side because I don't have a handle on. But what I'm going to do here is just pull it out, show you that you can pull this right out with this fishing line, and clean the inside out of your pole if you forgot to do that before you put the handle on like I did. Now I've got my pole all cleaned out the inside, and it's ready to put the handle on. So this is actually the hardest part. This handle for the Gossamer Gear pole is a lot smaller. You can see these two poles here. Hopefully the camera, picks it out here, but the black diamond poles are quite a bit larger in diameter. I believe they're 18 millimeter, and the Gossamer Gear ones are maybe You know, I think it was 12 or 13 or something like that. So it's a few millimeters difference. So anyways, if we start just trying to put this handle on here, we're going to rip it. So one thing I did here is I was trying to figure out a way to expand this opening just to kind of get the ball rolling. So a turkey baster works great for that because you can just, you know, put it in here and just kind of keep pushing it in until it widens it out some. However, at room temperature, these things aren't that pliable. What I did was actually put it in the oven for 210 degrees, let it sit in there for a little while. I don't know, time's not important. Just open the thing up, feel it, you'll feel it softer, and when it's softer, that's when you want to start working with it. You can also put this in the freezer and kind of, get some contraction going on it. I don't believe the carbon fiber contracts that much, but you can do that, and maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. But the biggest thing you want to do here is just start working on this handle and get something in here. Start prying this opening open a little bit so it gets used to accepting a handle this big. So I'm going to put mine in the oven right now. We're going to get that going. I'm going to take my handle out of the oven. It's nice and warm now. Alright, so we're going to let that sit in there. Grab the pole from the freezer. I'm going to put a little hairspray on this pole. It's supposed to lubricate it while it goes on, and then kind of dry, I guess, when it's already on there. So first part fits over easy, but then you're going to have problems just sliding it on after a while. So it kind of takes some muscle, but actually this one's going on a lot easier than the one yesterday. You can use a grip, one of these jar gripper things to get a better grip on the pole handle. I made a mark here too to kind of mark about how far down I need to go, because you can't really tell. I mean, you can move the top around here and see it wiggle, and it's not in there enough. So this just gives you something to kind of shoot for. Alright, so there we go, we got it on there. The only problem is the little top piece came out this time while I put this one on. So I know just the thing for this. I'll get some super glue and we'll glue this in place. Alright, there we go. We're all glued in place now. Looks kind of goofy, but this should do the job. Alright, here we are. We got the finished product here. 2 Black Diamond Alpine carbon cork trekking poles with Gossamer Gear grips. Now, I did weigh these Black Diamond poles before I changed the grips, and they were 238 grams each. So we're going to weigh one of these poles now and see what this one weighs in at. $219 grams. So it's a savings of 19 grams per pole, or 38 grams for the pair. So there is weight savings. It's more comfortable, and I think it's all around good modification to do. I will say it takes some time, it takes some patience. It's not incredibly difficult. The hardest part, I think, is just being careful with the poles and actually heating them up in the oven and then just taking your time working them on. You shouldn't have a problem with this, but you know, there are risks. You might end up breaking your grips if you don't go about it the right way. So anyways, comment, let me know what you think. Try it out yourselves. I don't care. It's gonna work for me. We'll see you next time.